What did you make of that, Jordan, to be suddenly appearing on Meghan Markle's podcast as a villain?
The first thing I make
calling
of
women crazy
is that the first thing I make of it is that her voice drips with the same falsehood that the voice of Kamala Harris drips with. It's this sanctimonious, faux compassionate, talking down to her audience and trying to be sure that we're all really on the same compassionate page here, and we're all being victimized by terrible forces that are arrayed against us, and none of that's really fair. And it just grates on.
Meghan Markle does not represent black people in the United States. I don't know if you knew that.
No question she doesn't. Don't worry, I'm very familiar. Doesn't represent anybody.
Of course
other
not.
than a very elite, hypocritical group of people.
The 60 Minutes interview was a great chance to hear Harry and Meghan's story, in case you missed their 2-hour sit-down with Oprah or their 6-part Netflix documentary.
Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give a f***. America don't give a f*** about. Keep your shows, keep your drama, keep all that nonsense. That's for you British people to fake care about. We do not give a f***. We don't care.
Meg does her little phony, like, I'm so busy just doing so much wealthy stuff. I have the show, the podcast, I'm a duchess.
So busy?
It was so fake. I was like, oh.
Prince Harry, whose memoir just broke the Guinness record for fastest selling nonfiction book of all time. They're now releasing a version for kids. I don't know if you know about this. It's a twist on The Princess and the Pea. It's called The Prince and the Penis, and it's
I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
Jordan Peterson just made a move nobody saw coming. He appeared on Piers Morgan Uncensored and, without yelling or theatrics, directly challenged Meghan Markle's public narrative. No chaos, no insults, just a calm breakdown that left very little room to spin the story. And the timing couldn't have been worse for Meghan. Earlier, Meghan had referenced Jordan Peterson's ideas on her podcast, leaning on his work to suggest women are often dismissed as irrational when they speak up. She clearly believed his reputation would add weight to her argument. Instead, Peterson showed up in person and shut that door fast. He didn't tiptoe around it either. He openly said the clip was being used in a misleading way and pushed back on what he described as a familiar victim framing. No drama, just a clean rebuttal that flipped the moment completely. Then things escalated.
Is this true? Meghan Markle has ruined your workout regime. Is this true? If so,
yes, she has.
how?
Well, she came into New York last weekend,
Yeah.
and she went to a yoga place called Moto Yoga, which is my yoga place. It's
Right.
where they have places in LA and New York. But now that she went there, everyone's going to want to go there.
Right.
And there's not going to be any room. It's going to be harder to get in.
Piers Morgan followed up with his own personal account. He said he knew Meghan before global fame, that they were friendly, shared conversations, and even spent time socially.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I hate them. They started off and they're making interesting points about racism and misogyny. Then they start calling each other H&M, and I just thought, oh, do off. Harry starts describing this one date with Meghan as the night, let me quote you here, me and M pulled the pin on a fun grenade. I actually started rooting for Prince Andrew. Harry says, how do you explain to someone who's just started dating that they have to curtsy to your own grandmother?
How do you explain that you bow to your grandmother and that you will need to curtsy, especially to an American? Like, that's weird.
And I'm thinking, maybe just tell her that your grandmother is the fucking queen. They were complaining that to pay for their own security. They were not happy about that. Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack.
According to Morgan, that connection ended abruptly after she met Prince Harry. Whether people believe him or not, the claim added fuel to an already heated conversation. And in royal watcher circles, this is where things get messy fast. If you've followed royal media at all, you've seen how aggressive the satire has become.
Let me introduce you to this thing called Google, okay? Over there, I think it's called Lori. It's full of useful information. For instance, turns out your husband knew Princess Di. That might have been a hint that this was going to be a rough gig. And if you don't Google things, you're the only person I can show this to. It's a cat who plays the electric piano. You had to be there in 2006.
The British show Spitting Image pushed boundaries hard with its exaggerated parodies. Their portrayal of Meghan was sharp, over the top, and unapologetic. No filters, no soft edges, just ruthless caricature. Then suddenly, gone. Clips vanished, episodes disappeared, and segments were quietly pulled. Reports suggested legal pressure may have played a role, though no official explanation was ever confirmed. The sudden erasure only made people more curious, and the parody itself hit a nerve. The skits mocked what critics saw as performative depth, everyday actions framed like profound moments, breathing exercises treated like revelations, simple gestures sold as life-changing wisdom. The satire exaggerated this to expose what it framed as image management over substance. One scene in particular showed Prince Harry being corrected and sidelined during filming.
I followed 4 of the stars of Suits on Twitter, and in 5 minutes I got this direct message from Meghan Markle.
A private message?
Yeah. And it said, hey, I'm a big fan, and I'm so excited you're following me. And this is
She said to you?
This was about 3 years ago. And I replied, and then another guy in Suits who plays another character, he got involved too. And we corresponded quite regularly on Twitter, publicly and privately. She began sending me early copies of Friendship. Listen, I'm coming to London to watch the tennis with Serena Williams. I know Serena well too. And she said, would you like to meet up for a drink? I said, come to my local pub. We had 2 hours in the pub. She had a couple of dirty martinis and a couple of pints. We got on, and then I put her in a cab, and it turned out to be a cab that took her to a party where she met Prince Harry. And then the next night they had a solo dinner together, and that was the last I ever heard from Meghan Markle. She ghosted me, Ryan. Meghan Markle ghosted me. I just think she's a slight social climber, I'm afraid. And when I see the way, look, at her wedding, there was only one member of her family there. The rest couldn't be risked.
That moment felt uncomfortably close to real public perceptions, and many viewers thought it crossed into territory that felt a little too real. But pulling the clips didn't solve anything. They spread online anyway. Short clips went viral. Reaction channels jumped in. Comedians piled on. And then South Park proved what happens when you lean into satire instead of running from it. That opened the door wider. When Joe Coy hosted the Golden Globe Awards, there was no gentle handling, no protective tone. Right in front of Hollywood's elite, he joked about the Netflix deals and openly questioned the value returned on massive investments. The room laughed because the question was already floating in public conversation. Netflix reportedly invested heavily, and critics have openly debated what tangible impact came from it. That's why the joke hit. It wasn't cruel. It was commentary. Then Trevor Noah resurfaced an awkward moment that still circulates online, a clip showing Prince Harry at a film premiere, seemingly advocating for Meghan's voiceover ambitions. Whether seen as supportive or uncomfortable, it became symbolic to critics of how far things had shifted.
Take the snack out of one bag and then move them into another bag and then label this new bag, even though this bag already has a label.
Oh, I prepare water for my guests. Some water that I got from the spring in my backyard. Whatever you do, don't use tap water. I'm just gonna sneak a taste. You flower petal. H is always calling water water.
Any type of flower arranging is just telling a story. What story do you want to tell? Maybe leave the country. Maybe disown your dad. Be creative with it.
Once upon a time, royal marriages shaped diplomacy. Now the public debate frames Harry as navigating Hollywood rooms instead of state dinners. Fair or not, that contrast is what keeps this story alive, and why people can't stop watching. Kingdoms and territories used to be part of royal history. Now the conversation is about podcast deals and Disney voiceovers, and that shift is wild to watch. The downgrade feels so dramatic it almost doesn't register as real anymore. To some critics, it even comes off as tragic. Their Netflix projects didn't land as prestige television, they landed as meme material. Family Guy summed up the entire situation with one joke that said more than hours of serious documentaries ever did. People in Hollywood understand how influence and power usually move. And to many observers, this situation simply didn't add up. Then Chris Rock stepped in during his Netflix special and pushed the conversation even further without hesitation.
I was curious what they did with Harry and Meghan's wax figures, so I found a museum employee who's temporarily storing. Oliver, you have generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I may, I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for sex. They are in a loving home, and I treat them better than the museum ever did. They didn't appreciate Meghan's soft hands or Harry's supple...
That's when the discrimination narrative, which had been central to their public image, started losing traction in the court of public opinion. Not because people stopped caring about real issues, but because the framing raised questions. The Oprah Winfrey interview was supposed to be the defining moment, the chance to finally settle the debate about bias and treatment within the royal system. Instead, Chris Rock asked one simple question that many felt had been avoided. And once that question was out there, the story didn't collapse, but it definitely wobbled. Joining one of the oldest institutions on Earth and acting shocked by its outdated views struck many as unrealistic. Chris Rock compared it to walking into a casino and acting surprised that people gamble. That analogy hit hard. The logic was simple. You know the environment before you walk in, so the shock doesn't fully convince people. Critics argue the timing is what raised eyebrows. Silence first, then speaking out when it aligned with opportunity.
What is the number one question that mystifies scientists? Number one question.
Mystifies scientists. Is there life on another planet?
Oh, no. Why does Meghan Markle make her own pretzel bags? They don't know why.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag.
Another bag.
That confuses people.
This, we're just going to put into a different bag.
Later in the press conference, a reporter asked Trump about Meghan Markle, and this is what he had to say about her.
I'm not a fan of hers, and she probably has heard that, but I wish a lot of luck to Harry, because he's going to need it.
Wow. Who had Meghan Markle on their random Trump insults bingo card? Anyone? If you're keeping track, Meghan Markle's got beef with the Queen of England and the President of the United States.
That shift made audiences skeptical. Basic curiosity about genetics was reframed by some as something darker, and that reframing became the core controversy. Chris Rock called that move out directly. When neutral questions are treated as attacks, it looks less like accountability and more like manufactured victimhood. And he wasn't alone in noticing. Saturday Night Live picked up the same pattern and turned it into recurring jokes. Once comedy locks onto a theme, it rarely lets go. At this point, public appearances feel awkward. The energy shifts, rooms go quiet, and the reception looks cold. Online, people joke that the only untapped market left might be Mars. Prince Harry's choices are now part of the punchline, too. He gave up a historic role for a new life that critics say hasn't delivered the promised payoff. Meghan's acting background keeps getting dragged into the conversation as well. One cable drama has become shorthand in late-night jokes, fair or not. When Saturday Night Live starts parodying your real life, the script is already written. And unfortunately for them, the comedians weren't finished yet. Her entire acting resume gets boiled down to a single show in public discourse. That's the contrast fueling the jokes, and it's why the commentary keeps coming. Even Jimmy Carr stepped in and said out loud what many were already thinking.
Gone on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these motherfuckers? What the fuck is she talking about? She didn't know. The fuck? It's the royal family. They're the original racists. That's like marrying into the Budweiser family and going, they drink a lot. These motherfuckers invested in slavery like it was Shark Tank. So racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be.
The behavior, the repetition, the setup, it all looked like a punchline waiting to happen. Some choices don't fade no matter how much charity work gets stacked on top of them. You can rebrand, relaunch, and repackage all you want, but certain decisions stick in public memory. People don't forget, especially when the contrast feels loud. To critics, the hypocrisy stood out immediately. Walking away from the monarchy while still holding on to titles and financial perks raised eyebrows everywhere. Jimmy Carr didn't dance around it either. He called it out directly, sharp and unapologetic. Then Kelly Osbourne stepped in and took the critique even further. She openly said she was tired of hearing what she viewed as self-pity from someone who entered life with privileges most people can't even imagine. That moment hit hard. The tone shifted from commentary to full roast mode, and the audience felt it. Next, Stephen Colbert joined the pile-on from his desk on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He mocked the repeated claims of being unprepared, joking that Meghan seemed shocked by basic royal customs. Not knowing about bowing to the Queen, not knowing royals live in castles, not doing any research at all. Colbert framed it as beyond believable and leaned into the absurdity. Then came the punchline-filled reality check. His monologue suggested that the wide-eyed confusion wasn't innocent, it was comedy gold. The "I had no idea" routine stopped sounding sincere and started sounding rehearsed. And Colbert didn't stop there.
Prince Harry really did that. At a movie premiere last year, he asked the CEO of Disney to hook his wife up with voiceover. You gotta admit, the monarchy has fallen off, right? No, because back in the day, it used to be like, if you marry my daughter, I'll give you burgundy. Now it's like, my wife actually does a pretty good Timon. You should hear her. Come on, baby, do the thing. Hakuna Matata, do the thing.
He joked about assigning Meghan a full homework list. Royals to Google, traditions to read up on. Even her own husband included, just to underline how obvious the expectations were from day one. The crowd laughed because the joke landed on a simple idea. You can't claim total surprise when the rulebook was always public, and once late-night hosts lock onto that angle, it doesn't let go. And there you have it. Stephen Colbert didn't hold back. The roast was ruthless, sharp, and straight to the point. When you speak confidently without doing the homework, comedy makes sure the lesson sticks. The so-called authentic image didn't just get questioned, it got lit up with flashing sirens. The performance angle became the joke itself, and once that happens, there's no walking it back. Things got even stranger after Harry and Meghan officially stepped away from royal duties.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy or hysterical. Or what about nuts, insane, out of your mind, completely irrational?
I don't think that men can control crazy women.
The use of these labels has been drilled into us from movies and TV, from friends and family, and even from random strangers. And the fact is, no one wants this label.
Psychopaths exploit, and they get a reputation for doing so quite quickly. And then people avoid them and stop working with them. And so it doesn't work over the medium to long run as a general rule.
I don't want to be doing another bloody segment on Meghan Markle and Harry, right?
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Madame Tussauds London quietly removed their wax figures from the royal family display. That move alone sparked headlines, memes, and late-night punchlines everywhere. Then Conan O'Brien ran with it. He staged a full skit imagining absurd places the wax figures might have been relocated to. He even played a museum employee who was uncomfortably obsessed with them. The bit was hilarious and unsettling at the same time. The punchline landed in that awkward sweet spot where the audience laughed and cringed simultaneously. The underlying message was clear. You can't erase your past just because you announce a reset. A rebrand looks shaky when everyone still remembers the earlier version. That's exactly what comedians kept circling back to. The same themes came up again and again. Performance over substance, optics over reality. Even Jordan Peterson later described what he saw as staged empathy and manufactured victimhood rather than something organic. And if that sounds harsh, the commentary didn't stop there. Piers Morgan has repeatedly said his personal experiences aligned with what the comedians joked about. Whether people agree with him or not, his claims fueled even more debate. Once the internet jumped in, the tone shifted fast. Reaction videos, parody clips, and commentary exploded. Late-night hosts couldn't resist either. Jimmy Fallon mocked Meghan's lifestyle content in a way that hit hard precisely because it felt familiar.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these. Elon built electric cars. He's going to Mars. Why isn't he even involving himself with Twitter? It would be like if the Prince of England gave it all up just to marry an actor from Suits. NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed.
The joke wasn't cruel. It was observational. Even something as simple as pretzels became symbolic. Everyday items framed as transformative moments. Critics saw it as overproduced, out of touch, and trying too hard to feel profound. Big influencers noticed the attention spike and jumped in. Entire Netflix episodes were turned into parody content almost overnight. Watching ordinary actions presented as life-changing wisdom became comedy by default. Moving snacks between containers, adding flower petals to water for elegance. It all fed the same punchline. That's the critique people keep making. Style over substance, emotion without depth, packaging normal life as revelation. And once that perception sets in, satire does the rest. That's the act people finally stop buying. The parodies hit too close to home, and once that happens, belief disappears fast. Leaving the country, cutting off family ties, leaning into influencer culture, critics say the contradictions became impossible to ignore. What was meant to be a lifestyle brand turned into viral mockery seen by millions. Once the jokes spread that quickly, credibility evaporated. For many viewers, Thomas Markle became part of the reason they watched, not out of cruelty, but to understand how emotionally messy the situation really was. One comedian summed it up perfectly after forcing himself through the entire Netflix documentary.
I think Harry's a f***ing twat. He's a whining, whinging, complaining, woe is me, I'm the only one that's ever had mental problems. Like, my life was so hard. Everybody's f***ing life is hard.
Yeah,
you were
true.
the prince of a goddamn country who dressed up as a f***ing Nazi, and now you're trying to come back as the Pope? Suck it.
He went in neutral, hoping it might finally click, and came out completely fed up. That reaction became a pattern. That's the strange effect their content had on audiences. It didn't pull people closer. It pushed them away. Curiosity turned into exhaustion. They started with issues that genuinely deserved empathy. But over time, critics felt it shifted into an overproduced couple brand, filled with performative moments and overly cute nicknames. That's when public goodwill drained fast. When your presentation gets so awkward that it makes your most critical relatives seem reasonable by comparison, that's a milestone, just not a good one. Royal etiquette isn't complicated. She's the queen. Acknowledge it and move on. Yet public discussions turned basic courtesy toward Queen Elizabeth II into a prolonged media moment, and many viewers couldn't understand why it was framed as such a struggle. 6 episodes in, people joked they needed emotional protection just to finish watching. The tone felt theatrical, out of touch, and unaware of how it landed with everyday audiences. Even supporters began drifting away. The mockery didn't come only from critics. It came from people who wanted to like them, but couldn't anymore. Comedians noticed, then social circles cooled. Small moments became headlines. Even a casual yoga studio visit turned into unnecessary drama in public discussion.
My brother's fiancée, Miss Meghan Markle, is on the American program Suits.
Yes, Wednesdays, 8 p.m, USA Network.
The only difference between that show and this is people watch this. The kids are being fussy and not going to bed. She puts on an episode of Suits and they're out. So,
what are you doing? Ow!
Stop it!
Critics joked that nothing could stay low-key anymore. A simple workout somehow became another performance. Like every space was treated as a stage and every moment had to be seen. One person tries to decompress quietly. Another enters and the entire room shifts. That contrast became a recurring theme in public commentary. And then comes the part many people point to as the turning key. Piers Morgan has repeatedly shared his first-hand account, which critics say aligns with what Jordan Peterson warned about earlier: intentional image building and tightly managed relationships. According to Morgan's account, she made the first move. She reached out, used charm, set the tone early, and controlled the pace of the interaction. It wasn't accidental, he claims. It was deliberate, consistent, and carefully maintained. Public praise, private messages, early access, constant contact. Morgan says the connection never cooled because it wasn't allowed to. When she traveled to London, he says it wasn't spontaneous. A pub meeting, relaxed drinks, friendly conversation, all framed as organic, all carefully structured. That same night, Morgan says he put her in a cab. She attended a party, met Prince Harry, and had dinner with him the very next day. And suddenly, every joke, every parody, and every criticism made a little more sense to the public watching it all unfold. And that was it. The messages stopped. Total silence the second a bigger opportunity appeared. One moment there was constant contact, the next moment, gone.
Royal family, right, if you can imagine, they're like our Kardashian. Prince Harry is very much our Kanye. He occasionally dresses as a Nazi, and he f***ed up.
Harry and Meghan say they'd now like to split their time between spending your money in the UK and spending your money in Canada.
Marrying the monarchy, what did you think it was going to be like?
Well, I didn't do any research about what that would mean.
You didn't do any research?
No. I've never looked up my husband online.
Piers Morgan says that's when he realized the shift. According to him, once Prince Harry entered the picture, he was erased completely. No fallout, no closure, just gone. Morgan has since described the behavior as opportunistic. He claims the same thing happened to Thomas Markle, saying her father was excluded from the wedding because he no longer fit the public image being built. Whether people agree or not, that claim became central to the debate. Critics say this is exactly what Jordan Peterson warned about earlier: carefully managed empathy, selective closeness, and a pattern of cutting people off once they stop serving the narrative. Many viewers say they started noticing the same thing. Friends disappear. Family becomes a liability. The moment someone complicates the image, they're labeled a risk and quietly removed. Satire picked up on it fast. Spitting Image exaggerated the pattern so clearly that it sparked controversy and vanished almost overnight. The jokes landed too close to reality for comfort. Then influencers took over. Reaction videos exploded. Lifestyle branding got reframed as performance art. One critic after another said the same thing. It felt staged, rehearsed, and hollow. Comedian Simon Brodkin even said he went into the Netflix series trying to be fair. By the end, he said the experience left him frustrated rather than convinced. Morgan later explained the pattern again from his own experience. Build relationships while they're useful. Maintain attention aggressively. Then drop people the second a better option appears. He says he lived it firsthand. He says her family felt it personally, and the public, watching from the outside, started connecting the dots. After everything critics, comedians, and commentators have pointed out, the question now isn't about jokes anymore. It's simple. Can this image actually recover, or has the audience finally made up its mind? If you want to stay on top of how this story keeps unfolding, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.